This is Clint Patterson with WeHuntSC.com, and I just want to share a hunt we had from this past weekend with you. On opening weekend, these turkeys really schooled us about their location, and we had to learn where they were. And so on this weekend, we really zoomed in or zeroed in right where they were going to be. As we walked in the dark, we had a turkey that was hammering. I mean, he was gobbling. So we hurried up, we sat down. You can see our two decoys here, still kind of dark and hazy. And as soon as we called, he started hammering back. And so what you're going to see is what happened that morning. That turkey, he gobbled every time we called. And I mean, he was closing in distance, and it was apparent he was out in front of us. And so Jason was telling me, hey, he's coming, be still. And he was out in front, seemingly to our right, and we were just waiting on him. We were up on top of a hill, and we were waiting on him to come up the top. And then all of a sudden, you can see that white head coming through. You can see how he's kind of coming up the hill. It's kind of difficult to find him in the trees with the camera, but I finally got him. He was full strut as he came up that hill. And you can see, I'm just freeze framing here, he's a healthy gobbler. Now I'm sitting on a tree to the left, and Jason's on a tree to the right. What I didn't know is that Jason had a wide open, clear shot. He could have killed that bird right there, but he was waiting on that Tom to come up the hill just a little bit more to come out in that opening that we had. It was going to be epic footage, but as you know, it doesn't always go the way you want it to go. So that turkey he stayed behind the trees there. Kind of spinning around. And when he got to this point, we could see his beard, and he was 3 or 4 steps from being out into the opening, and it was just going to be textbook, perfect the way it should be, and then all of a sudden, he just freaks out. And then he takes off running. And you can see him zigzagging. He's kind of putting as he goes. So man, it was one more frustrating hunt, but it was definitely a close encounter and a fun one to be on. So after getting skunked on the first morning hunt, we went and ate breakfast and went and made some different setups, and then later in the afternoon, we decided we'd try one last spot, and we went out and called, and sure enough, we had one hammer. So we set up, and we were able to get on this turkey. It was, again, in the woods. It was real hard for me to get this turkey in the camera, but finally got on him, and he was about 55, 60 yards out. And every time we'd call, I mean, it was the same thing, he'd gobble. And but when I'd zoom in, it would focus on the trees. But finally, I was able to zoom in and get close up on him. And he was a nice bird, not as big as the one from this morning, but he was pretty good. But he stayed right there forever. And like I said, it was a pretty frustrating hunt. And you can hear Jason and I whispering, I'm telling him to shoot him. He's saying he can't see him. It's, kind of a far shot. Also in the background, you can hear a squirrel that is hissing at us, and he will not leave. It's kind of frustrating. But this bird just stayed there, and he would puff up and strut. We'd call, he'd show off. But this was as far as he would go, and he was just staying right here. He was drawing the line. I mean, he was ready, and we stayed here forever. I mean, it was like 45 minutes worth of time. Like you can hear Jason and I talking here. He was tore up, man. He was just showing off, gobbling, and we couldn't get him to come any closer. And seriously, I've got footage like this for 25, 30 minutes of the whole engagement with this bird. He was just doing the same thing over and over and over. It's kind of frustrating. It's definitely a pretty sight, man. And so eventually, the turkey turned around and left. He wasn't coming any closer, and we weren't moving to him. So he kind of got frustrated and retreated, and then we just slipped on out of there. But man, it was a Saturday. There's some beautiful sights, but not getting one on the ground. But we're gonna stay after them. So hopefully we'll get to some success.